I'm Mike Hayne and I'm talking to you. I'm 70 years old, crippled, poor, alone. I've never really been afraid during the course of my life, but now I'm afraid, sad, ruined, and I'm talking to you. I meet a lot of people. I'm a writer in Los Angeles on the street, in Las Vegas, on the streets, poor, living in poverty. And I talk to people all day long. I'm not hiding. And you do run into that. Let me get my coffee here. This is tremendously hard. So if there is anyone out there, like Beck or O'Reilly or anyone, I need help. AEG. This is tremendously hard for me to live like this, and before I die, chronicle what I can from my mind. It's like Star Trek. There was one episode. I don't watch TV, but there's a few I remember. In the early days, where the guy was just a head on top of some kind of a contraption that he wheeled around on. He was the commander of the ship. I can't find that episode. I did watch TV in the early days. But I saw a report, and this is shocking, and I'm just going to tell it. I've got Richard Nixon's memoirs. It's called In the Arena, and it's on Audible with him talking when he's 90. Also, I found a copy of Winston Churchill's autobiography, and he was reciting it when he was 90. And the things they say at the end of their lives shock you. Because they know, this is the end. Now, so I'll tell you what happened, okay? There was a think tank called the Brookings Institute. I think that's what the name of it is. Now, that was 50 years ago. And there were 100 volumes of bound, and this is 1977 in a university library in the basement. So I'll tell you what it is right now, talking to you. I was alone in the basement of a university library. The Brookings Institute, does that sound correct? It's a think tank, and they had bound the printed transcripts, 100 volumes from the 1950s and 60s. This happened to me in 1977. They had bound 100 of the printed, typed. Remember in the old days, the typewriters, the right margin wouldn't even be equal? And they were the printed transcripts of what this think tank had thought about. So I'm curious, and I look and I pull one out, and by happenstance, I just happened to pull one out from 1955, open it up, and I'll never forget what it said. And I can remember it to this day. Think tank, United States, 1955. Television had just been mass-produced in 1945. There were 3 channels, and it came through the air to your aerial on top of your house. 1955. It was black and white. This is what it said, quote, "We want to determine When a man comes home from the factory and opens a beer and sits down to watch television with his family, if we can influence him by putting messages in the stories, unquote. Now, to find something like that, in 1977, I was 22. I had just quit playing guitar. I was the best guitar player in Houston, but my mother died when I was 19. There was no point. Elvis Presley's mother didn't die. Bruce Springsteen's mother didn't die. There was no point. So I quit playing guitar. I never really did get into getting on stage and things. That would have been the next project I would have done. And I find that. So I never watched TV. And that's kind of hard for people to understand. They don't understand. I've never seen these TV shows or movies. This is the book I wrote. I wrote this in 2021 while living in this rooming house. It was public. I just bought this one from Amazon. It was $8. Talking to Myself by Hayne. You have to put all that in. This was $8 and it came in 3 days. So, say what you want about Amazon. There's a whole science to economics and politics that when you listen to Richard Nixon's autobiography, you learn. Some of the things that are being currently talked about for economics, politics, even history, they're all wrong. There's a higher level of knowledge. So people criticize Amazon. Ooh, the gig economy, they call it. They always have names. That's what Orwell said would happen. One of these days I get my notebook and write down all the changed words. In 1984, Orwell was a really incredible thinker. And I read 1984 a long time ago, and we studied it in school. He said, and myself, I could probably find as many as at least 50 to 100 words that have changed the meaning. That's what he said would happen. The words would change meanings. But I have to write them down. This is the list. Talking to you. The things that happened to me from the age of 5, living in Poughkeepsie, New York, with my family. A very good family, nice mother, good, decent father, successful. The house cost $8,000, brand new, in 1960. I was 6 years old, and I asked my mother, and she told me, $8,000, that brand new house cost. 13 Shamrock Circle. How's that for being lucky? Sorry if that's your house currently where you live. That's where I grew up. So from the age of 5, Arlington Elementary School. Then we moved to Texas. I was a confirmed Catholic when I was 13 in 1967. We moved to Houston, Texas. Brand new house, beautiful neighborhood, all white people. There was no black people anywhere to be seen, even in jail. I was in jail in 1974. All white people, punks. Now here's the list of the episodes. So, and then I moved to California. I lived in the most remote desert at a resort. It was bought by AEG, Ansalt's Entertainment Group. He bought what they call the concessions. Those are the guys that sell the t-shirts in the national parks. So if you go to the Grand Canyon, or you go to Mount Rushmore, or you go to Yellowstone, or you go to where I was, Death Valley, and you buy a t-shirt, the money goes to Phil Ansalt's Entertainment Group. Then he came to Las Vegas and he bought 6 casino hotels. One of them was Caesar's Palace. I'm not up on all the details, but I was proud to work for that. I worked for AEG before I quit from all the intrigue, but the stories end in 1977 when I got baptized into the Baptist Church. I was already a confirmed Catholic, Mike Rogers, okay? And, but I was a juvenile delinquent, and when I was 23, I got, 1977, I got baptized into the Southern Baptist Church, where they dunked you under the water and everything, and I rehabilitated myself. So my life has been just a normal, regular, boring life since 1977, and I'm happy. I like doing the 10 Commandments and fitting in and doing good in society. I don't steal, but I did before 1977. So I'm writing down the episodes that happened from the age of 5 to the age of 23. Otherwise, I'll forget them. The Ferguson incident. 1977, at the brothel, the apartments, they were old workers' apartments that were across the street from Cameron Iron Works. Cameron Iron Works, the guys that make the tanks for the Vietnam War. Well, the guy would cash his check probably right there at Cameron Iron Works, and he's got his little pay packet, and he crosses the street and goes to the brothel, where the teenage girls have been tricked into prostitution. And I was a rock and roll musician. I was living there. My best friend was the pimp. I'm 5'6", he's 5'5". We were gorgeous. We didn't look like this. When you see Bruce Springsteen playing guitar in 1986 and you see his muscular arms, that's how our arms were. There's one detail left out of that Ferguson incident. I'll tell it. Jeffrey's cracked head. There's something nobody knows about that. 1963, age 8. The pimp, Robert Matthews, and me getting picked up by a serial killer in 1972. Nobody knows about that. Matthews saved us, and then 2 weeks later, the guy, Dean Coral, look it up, Dean Coral, he got killed by the guy that picked us up. Hey, you want to go smoke marijuana? And I'm thinking, oh no. And then Matthew says, we're getting out right here. And I said, how come we got out? We were hitchhiking on a Sunday morning in 1972. I said, how come we got out? He said, did you see that guy's face? I was in the back of the van, and I was having weird vibes about that. Like, what is this? So anyway, I'm Mike Hayne, and I'm talking to you.